Driving over Lake Superior, you were driving essentially through wilderness. You were driving through very difficult terrain. And they said that if you're going to drive a long distance in Canada, make sure you have a lot of spare tires and all this stuff, because the roads weren't great. You'd be hitting boulders and big potholes. There was no real overarching regulations on how the road should be. So a lot of Canadians, especially if they want to drive coast to coast, would leave, say, Halifax and go through Maine and then come up into Quebec and then go through Quebec into Ontario. But then rather than go over Lake Superior, they would just go back into the United States and then come up in around Winnipeg or Manitoba, go through the prairies, then go back in the United States, bypass all that, and then come up into Vancouver. So there was not a lot of people actually going clear across the country, rather than they would just go into the United States.
If you're a proud Canadian and you want to travel across your country circa 1950, having to dip into the United States every day or two is hardly getting your head where you want your head to be at.
Absolutely. And the government really looked at that and was, thinking about all the tourism dollars they were losing because people are going to the United States. And they really needed to have a road to go clear across the country, because you also had trade going over the United States and then coming back into Canada. So you needed something that went from Victoria to St. John's that Canadians could travel, but also commerce could travel with trucking and everything, because the automobile was really starting to take over and bypass the railroad, which was on its way out by that point. There was a little bit of pressure, especially after the Second World War, because you did have a lot of people who had more disposable income. You had people who were buying cars for the first time. They wanted to see the country, and the federal government was very on board with that. And all the parties really agreed that we needed to have a national road going across the country. The only thing they disagreed on was who was going to pay for it.